behind us, right on the side of us. You could kind of see the thing moving through the woods.
All I can remember is flipping the light on, and I see this creature, and I knew in my heart, I knew in my mind, and the whole night, this isn't a man.
And then this thing walks across the road, takes a turn towards us, and then leaps over a guardrail.
Went to look forward, and there was a big black thing, is all I...
Welcome to Squatch-D TV, exploring the Bigfoot mystery each week with your hosts, veteran researcher, author, and TV personality, the Squatch detective, Steve Kulls, and from the Bigfoot Research Project of Kentucky, Chris Bennett. Sit back and buckle up as we bring you guests from around North America discussing the Bigfoot phenomena, but not without a few laughs, too. Here are your hosts, Steve and Chris.
And good evening, cyberspace. Welcome to Squatch-D TV for today's date, 10/10/21. Yes, it's Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern, and here we are. I'm your host, your guide, the Squatch detective Steve Kulls, along with, well, the man downstairs, Mr. Chris Bennett.
Hi, folks. I'm just sitting here listening to my new music. Okay, that's enough of that.
Yeah, Chris has got his own theme song.
It's good to see everybody in chat. Hi, guys.
And, of course, our guest is with us tonight, Mr. Craig Woolheater. Hello, Craig.
Mr.
Hello.
Woolheater.
I was going to say you guys were reminding me of those dancing crabs on that commercial.
Well, the older I get, the crabbier I get.
You got that right, Steve.
So let's do our roll call in the chat because we're filling up quick. I know Uncle Artie was in earlier who made the comment that
Artie.
Craig is in my town. Woohoo! Not to mention the Bigfoot conference in Jefferson, Texas next weekend.
Right.
So he will be
up to date. Yeah.
Of course, first in the door, I think today was Low Rider. Hello, Low
Rider.
Laughing Picker, good to see you. Jay
Laughing
Fritz,
Picker.
welcome. Lester
Jay.
Taylor, hello.
Lester.
Brian and Chewy go hiking. Our good
Hey,
friend
Brian.
over there. Good friends there. And Aaron and family. Aaron Mollenkamp and
Hey, Aaron.
family are in. John Swan. Hey, it's Suzanne Ferenchek as well as Bigfoot Society. That's our
Suzanne.
Yep. And Blue Dasky is in the
Bigfoot
house. So
Society,
we
yeah.
got this is, and of course it's
Blue,
early yet.
yep.
So, and where in the world is B?
Oh, yeah.
she'll
B's
be-
usually the first one in.
Yeah, she's probably, people got stuff to do sometimes.
Yeah.
Maybe a game isn't overtime. I don't know. We'll see. Between
That's the nice thing about it, though. If you miss the show, you can pick it up on the podcast.
That's
no
right.
problem.
And again, hello to our friends over there at Anchor FM, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Audible, and of course, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, and what did I miss? Oh, Amazon Music.
Yeah.
So up, look, see, there she is.
There's
Oop.
B. Hi,
And
B.
of course, Christy's in the house, or it could be Mike. Where's my thing? So good to see y'all. Usually that's Christy when you see that. So, but it could be Mike. I know Mike said he was going to be here tonight, but
Hi, Christy.
and I think next week's show, and the nice thing is I get in early enough. Next week we will have a show, of course. As Craig knows, I'm out of here on Thursday, headed to the great state of Texas. And that's what tonight's episode is about, is Texas Bigfoot. And, Craig is the authority on it, I feel. Been around long enough to know. Been around long enough to know the ins and outs. So anyway, OT is in the house also. So, Craig, how the heck are you, man? It's been a long time.
I'm all right. But first, before we got started, I wanted to say, how about them Giants?
Oh, I wasn't watching football today. I was napping.
Well, I'll give you a clue.
They lost.
The Cowboys score against the Giants was 41-20, and I'm sorry to say you guys came out on the lower end.
Well,
not really. I'm not really sorry.
Here's a strange fact, Craig. I'm actually a Cowboys fan.
Well, there you go. Good for you.
I'm not a Giants fan. my brother would be turning over in the grave, but not a Giants fan.
You'll have to apologize to your guest that my head is so bigger than yours, because I can't hear y'all very well, so I'm having to hold my phone close to my head.
Yeah, I'll get a pair.
I could. Is that too much of a close-up?
Is this any better, Craig?
Is this okay, guys?
We'll try to speak up.
Well, I'll do. And former everything is in the house too as well. So OT wanted to drop Craig a message saying, "Hello, Craig Woolheater. I'm the guy in about 2017 who contacted you. Cryptomundo had some issues."
Okay. Hey, OT. Does that stand for overtime?
I don't know. Overtime. Old timer. OT's gonna send me hate mail now. Anyway, so Craig, let's get into this. Let's have some fun. First and foremost, let's just put the ad out for and we'll talk about it again towards the end of the show. But let's talk about the Texas Bigfoot Conference coming up next weekend.
Okay, well, the Texas Bigfoot Conference actually started in 2001. I had been to the Ohio Bigfoot Conference in 2000, and then in 2000 I got the idea, and I went back in 2001. When I was there, I was like, there's nothing like this going on in Texas. I bet I can put something together like this. And so I proceeded to do that. The reason that it's in Jefferson, even though that there's a history of Bigfoot sightings in the area and Cattle Lake is right there, is that my parents at the time owned a bed and breakfast there in town. And my mom was on the events committee for the Bed and Breakfast Association. So I used my resources to put the first conference together, which unfortunately was held on September 15th, 2001, 4 days after 9/11.
Oh.
So I had speakers, of course, that couldn't fly in.
Right.
So Dr. John Bendernagel, who didn't fly, was already well on his way to Texas. He had set out about a month before on the road all the way from Vancouver Island, across the ferry to Vancouver, and, went all through the western states, visiting Bigfoot eyewitnesses and such, and got here for the conference. So we had several speakers that couldn't fly in, but he was here, and had some local Texas guys, and we had about 130 the first year, and it's been held nearly every year since. 2006 I didn't have one because we had done a 6-month museum exhibit with the University of Texas at San Antonio, one of their campuses, which was a museum. But we held 4 half-day conferences that summer. And then, so basically just holding it in Jefferson, which has now been declared or proclaimed by the mayor the Bigfoot capital of Texas. They've endorsed it. We've got a Bigfoot statue in town and a lot of Bigfoot stuff around town now that it's the Bigfoot capital. And it's the home of the annual Texas Bigfoot Conference, which the 20th anniversary is this year. So in 1 week, we'll be having the 20th anniversary event. I've had to deal with COVID issues and problems with speakers having to drop out and having to call in the backups and keep marching on. But we've still got even with Steve Kulls on the lineup, we've still got a quality lineup. We've got Dr. Jeff Meldrum, Lyle Blackburn, Steve Kulls, Charlie Raymond, Shelley Covington, Montana, and Leah Fisher, a Bigfoot author. So we've still got a good lineup. It's going to be a good time. We always have a great time. We're going to do, some other stuff after hours, because that's what I really enjoy about the conference is by holding a conference and with an admission, it allows me to, pay airfare and hotel and stuff to bring my friends into town to hang out for the weekend. Yeah. So to me, it's always at least 50% camaraderie, hanging out with a bunch of like-minded folks with a common interest. There's nothing better in the world, in my opinion, than that.
Yeah. Amen. I'm just trying to deal with an issue with for some reason, Tack got taken out as a moderator, and I'm not sure why.
What's happening?
No, one of our chat moderators for some reason is not there anymore, and I don't know. I'm not quite sure why. But we'll get it fixed, Mike.
I apologize for my amateur setup here, because I'm just in my Bigfoot man cave, kicked back in a comfy chair using my iPhone. I don't have a professional.
Well, that's all we ask. That's all
set
we
up
ask.
with headphones and all that good junk.
Well, it could have been any worse than Ron Bowles. I got Ron.
Why? What was his setup?
Pretty much the same as yours, but a lot darker.
Well, I can make it a lot darker.
Oh, there we are.
Actually, that's spooky, but it's probably less spooky because you can't see me.
I don't know what is going on.
Yeah. It's better when we can actually see you, Greg.
You had to say that.
I would like to cut this light out of my eyes here, but I need to show everybody how pasty and pale I am.
So, Steve, when was the last time you were in Texas? Was it on the Biscardi expedition?
No. It was. I can't even think about it. It's been some time, but I know I flitted into Texas, but not on a Bigfoot thing. I was just traveling through.
Oh, okay.
So, but that was a while ago. So it's going to be great to get back to Texas. And it's so cool being that close to Boggy Creek and
yeah. Boggy Creek, Falk, Arkansas is only going to be an hour away from where we're at, where the conference is held. Cattle Lake is 15 minutes or so, and it's a really cool place, really spooky place at night. Yeah. I guess the last time we saw each other, would have to been at the Ohio Bigfoot Conference.
Yeah.
And the last time I was to that was 2014, so it's been a while.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm still trying to... I think he's got to be in the chat. Oops. Oh, wow.
Did you find your person?
No, I don't know what's going on. You know what happened is... okay. I figured out what's going on, but you got to be in chat to get you back on. I might have accidentally backspaced you because you don't actually delete people on this thing, which is kind of weird. if you accidentally backspace over a name, it actually wipes them out. So I'm like, uh-oh.
You backspace over them and they're gone.
I must have. Yeah, it's really
Wow.
weird. It was like all of a sudden I'm like I'm trying to correct a typo, and as I'm going back, it just wiped out the other moderators. I had
I
to
see
cancel.
Mick in the chat room. Hey, Mick.
Yes, Mick's in the chat room. Patrick Vaughn's in the chat room. Who else wandered in while we were gone? David Wickham. David Wickham's in the house. So I'll be part of the Ohio Sasquatch Triangle Conference coming up.
David Wickham. I
Yep.
saw him in 2017 at Horror Hound Festival in Indianapolis. And was it may have been, was it 18, 19? It may have been 19. I can't remember.
Yep. Cryptid
Maybe
Bill's
David
in the
can
house,
remember. He was there with Amy Boo.
Yep. And Cryptidville's in the house. Man, welcome everybody. Good to see we got the crowd back. So tell us what, Craig, there are so many different things I think of when I think of Texas Bigfoot. There's Caddo Lake, there's the Fort Worth monster, you're close enough to Falk, Arkansas, and that whole spill area there. Tell me what you think was the best out of all. Obviously Falk, but Caddo Lake, Fort Worth monster, which was more of an impact to you personally?
Well, certainly in 1969, the summer of 69, when the Lake Worth monster was seen all around there up at Lake Worth that summer. I was a kid. I was 9 years old, and I was fascinated by that story. It was on the front page of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram on July 10th and July 11th. And we're talking, a week and a half later, man landed on the moon. But 10 days before that, the front page story was about some hairy monster out at the lake that, people saw. And my grandparents saved the newspapers for me from my scrapbook. And I found a book written by a local woman who went out and investigated named Sally Ann Clark. And so that's what got me started being interested in that stuff. And then I read a John Keel book in 1970, Strange Creatures from Time and Space. And then, in 73, I saw The Legend of Boggy Creek when it got national distribution when it came to Dallas. And, I was highly influenced by those things. The fact that, there were, hairy monsters in the woods not that far from me. I don't remember before that even seeing the Patterson film myself. It was some years later when I saw the Patterson film. I didn't see it, before those things happened in the late 60s and early 70s. Yeah. But I was fascinated by that, when I was a teenager anyway, and a Boy Scout. But, it kind of dropped away for me. I didn't keep up with this stuff as I was growing up. The next thing that happened to me was in 1994 when I was driving back from New Orleans to Dallas and, pretty late at night and saw a tall, hairy creature on the side of the road as we were driving back. And I had a friend that was asleep in the back seat. My girlfriend was in the front seat. We saw on this, unlit 2-lane road out in the middle of nowhere, we saw a tall, hairy, hair-covered figure walking on two legs about 20 feet off to the right of the road as we, sped by. And my girlfriend and I both saw it for maybe 7 or 8 seconds, maybe, at speed. And as we passed it, we both looked at each other and said, "Did you just see what I just saw?" Yeah. And we said, "Yeah." And I said, "What do you think you saw?" And she said, "I think I saw a Bigfoot." So I immediately wanted to stop, not knowing what I would have done, but she was uttered a few expletives and decided that we were not going to stop. So we were at that point, we were pulling into a small town of a couple of hundred people called Bunkie, Louisiana. The thing is this was also on Highway 71 in Louisiana, the same Highway 71 that goes through Falk, Arkansas. farther north. But we passed through town. It was, about 11:30 at night, and there was no activity, no nothing on a Monday night. It was actually Memorial Day, May 30th, 1994. And we stopped, and after we passed through town, we saw a little church on the side of the road. So we pulled in there and talked about what we had seen. My friend was still in the back seat asleep. She had to be at work the next morning. So we talked about it for about 10 minutes and then got back on the road. And we really didn't even talk about it on the way home. We didn't talk about it when we got to home. It was just something weird that happened to us. And, you have to take into account, kids nowadays won't believe it, but, it was until 3 years later that I got internet access.
Right.
And 1997. So the first thing I looked up was, Bigfoot, and, found a community of people there. It certainly wasn't anything compared to today. Just, some message boards, forums and stuff.
Yeah.
And went on there and, met people online and talked to them, and met a gentleman, Luke Gross, online, and then met him in person.
Luke, yeah.
We started the TBRC, the Texas Bigfoot Research Center, in June of '99, and started talking to people and going out to areas where reports came in from, and people wanted to get involved. And we went up to Ohio in 2000 to the conference, Don Keating's conference, and then I decided, I could pull off something like this in Texas. So started making preparations and had the first one, like I said, 4 days after 9/11. But, used to get out, and I don't do active field research anymore. It's been quite a few years. My strength was never that anyway. My strength was organization.
Yep.
So I, put together a team of people that had all the strengths I didn't have: outdoors, tracking, and, outdoorsmen, and, biologists, and all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, we've held the conference for quite a few years and had all number of speakers that have come out, and like I said, we'll have a fun weekend. We've got a couple of catered dinners by local restaurants there.
And I see one's a barbecue.
Yeah, it's great barbecue.
Every time you put Texas with barbecue,
it's always on the top 50 list of all the barbecue restaurants in Texas, and they cater every year. Just to start your lips smacking: brisket, turkey, sausage, pinto beans, coleslaw, potato salad. It's going to be good.
Nice.
I love Texas barbecue, and they do stuff like they have a roundup where they serve have 50 people cooking their barbecue. You get to go around and try a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And
yeah,
they also do those chili contests. Oh my God!
Yeah, to do a chili contest. We've talked about it for years, having a Bigfoot chili cook-off. It's just, it's just me and a handful of volunteers, and it's hard. It's enough of work just to put together the conference for the whole weekend.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Without extra stuff. But I've always wanted to do a Bigfoot chili cook-off.
Yeah. Texas and New Mexico. I lived in New Mexico, so that Southwest thing, they got it going on. They start doing rattlesnake roundups, chili cook-offs, barbecue cook-offs.
Yeah.
Oh man, a fat man's in paradise there. I'm telling you.
Yeah, there'll be some good food, Steve, while you're here.
They're not going to let me on the plane going home. I'm going to gain so much weight.
Yeah, you'll have to pay for an extra bag.
Hey, if Tack, you're out there, say hello again. I think I know what happened.
Who?
No, Mike, our buddy Mike. Just say hello again in chat. You should.
Hey, I see Leon, Bigfoot Okanagan.
Yep, Bigfoot Okanagan, and we want to wish him a happy Thanksgiving because tomorrow is Canadian Thanksgiving.
Oh, wow!
So,
man, did they get turkey and cranberry?
That's a good question. Maybe Leon can answer that. There he is. Okay.
I would think they probably have goose and something else, right? Canadian geese, right?
Yep.
Probably whatever they can shoot when they're oot in a boot.
And maybe, of course, I'm sure on the table there'll be poutine in case
Well, there's
people
nothing wrong with French fries and gravy
and cheese
and
curds.
cheese and cheese curds.
Oh,
Anything fried.
There ain't nothing wrong with that.
So okay, now we got that problem situated, and I understand what happened there. And what happened was last week, with the chat running so fast and booting out the spammers. Remember we had the spamming issue last week?
Oh yeah, some excitement.
Somehow, I know TAC was trying to fix that as well.
Yeah.
And I think the chat scooted, and he might have actually been blocked. So I fixed that all up. I'm like, why is if he said hello? Because he said hello, and I'm like, it's not showing up. So I bet you I know what happened.
I see you now.
Yep.
I see you, Mike. You're there.
And he's back as a moderator again. So
good.
Canadian turkey is dish best served cold, or maybe that was revenge dish. I forget.
Oh man.
So Steve, Thanksgiving was invented in Canada, and we eat turkey too. Well, happy Thanksgiving, guys. So
nothing wrong with some turkey, dude, and a good nap afterwards.
That's right.
Mashed potatoes and gravy.
There you go.
So the creature you saw crossing the road, that was a dark creature, or was it?
Well, no, and it actually didn't cross the road. It was parallel.
Okay.
It was walking parallel to the road we were on. It never looked over. It never deviated from its path. It was about 7 foot tall and kind of hunched over, and it looked grayish in the headlights.
Cool.
So it looked, I don't know if the fur was, light colored, white colored, blonde, or whatever, but it looked gray in the headlights. And,
now,
we just saw it for 7-8 seconds until we passed it. And that was it.
Gotcha. Now, there was this infamous picture of the Lake Worth monster. I'm pulling that up right now.
The great, yeah,
that one.
That's a cropped image of it.
Right.
The original image is much bigger.
Gotcha. Yep.
Taken by a guy that owned a dress shop. His name was Alan Plaster. In 1969. And he didn't want anything to do with it after he took the picture because he was being hounded by newspapers and stuff. And he gave it to Sally Ann Clark, who wrote the book. I ended up meeting her at her house in 1999. Luke Gross and I went over to her house and talked to her. I drug out like 2 suitcases full of stuff, letters and drawings and stuff that people had sent to her. And she showed us the original of that picture. I should have sent it to you. I've got a picture of John Green at her house in 1976 when he was touring the U.S. writing his book, Sasquatch, the Apes Among Us, that he had stopped in and visited her at her house. And she has a life-size drawing of this kid had drawn of the Lake Worth monster that was, like 7 feet tall. And there's a picture I have of John Green and on one side of that picture and Sally Ann Clark on the other side, but I didn't think to send you any stuff beforehand.
So the Lake Worth monster, that was actually a white Bigfoot, correct? Or
correct.
Were people seeing?
It was described as being a dirty white color,
which is very similar to what you saw. Okay, kind of.
That summer, it was actually seen by hundreds of people out there, and it is generally regarded as the most witnessed local creature. Because all kinds of, I know here in Texas, and I'm sure it's everywhere up there even, that there's, local creatures that show up fairly regularly, maybe over a short period of time, but in a local area, and they become, the Caddo critter, the Holly Him, the Turkey Creek monster, the Sabine thing, local areas have these local names for these creatures. And this one was seen mainly the summer of 1969. However, there were periodic reports from that area over the years. I believe the last one heard anything from was in the '06 to '08 area of somebody reporting something in that area. It's now a city nature refuge. The the whole area, Greer Island, where this monster was seen. Right. Supposedly that it lived out on Greer Island on this island in the middle of the lake, would retreat to there after being seen or shot at. But it's the Fort Worth. What is it? I can't think right now. It's a wildlife park and nature refuge. They have a herd of bison out there and other stuff. But it's a city park now. And in 2009, the city contacted me wanting to plan a 40th anniversary of the Lake Worth monster that we held in 2009. And it's held now every 5 years. But the city of Fort Worth actually puts on this festival, the Lake Worth Monster Bash. And since the beginning, I've been involved in the planning process of that. And it's a very popular event out there in Fort Worth.
Very cool. And of course, as we know, there is a link to the Fort Worth area to one of my debunkings, and that's the Fort Worth Exchange. The latest video I put out there was an email from the one, the only Linda Newton Perry of Bigfoot Ballyhoo, who lifted pictures of a couple of wranglers from the Fort Worth Exchange and made them their ESP team. And it was kind of funny because there was a couple of guys from Texla Research that went to the Fort Worth Exchange after a lot of communications back and forth, and they actually got a picture of one of the guys there and got the names.
Yeah. Wow.
So it was like, oh well.
Wasn't she your first Hall of Shame member?
No. The first the first Hall of Shame member, of course, goes to the guy from San Francisco or Menlo Park.
Who shall not be named?
Well, I don't worry about that too much. But he sounds like a popular Italian cookie. And followed very quickly by his Georgia brethren. Then it was Linda Newton Perry. So she was like the third one in.
Okay.
So, yep.
Did you ever see that picture of Biscardi's from like the 70s with that supposed Bigfoot perched on the side of the cliff that looked like it had big Ugg boots on it or something?
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
That's a great one.
Well, if anybody, and I don't necessarily, I can't really show it, but there was a German movie by the name of Downfall. And a lot of people have parodied that with, and basically Downfall was the last days of, the Third Reich, and it had the bunker. It was all about the bunker and what happened in the bunker. And there was a scene in there that's been parodied because people putting in their own subtitles, and I did one, and it was actually quite. I look back on it now because it's probably 7 or 8 years old, maybe even longer, and it was completely brilliant. It had Biscardi in it, and basically Hitler was railing on Biscardi. But anyway, trying to I think everything is starting to run very well here, which is good. So what are your thoughts on this photo?
My thoughts are that it definitely looks like to me that that it could be one of these creatures. You can see what looks to be a spine there on the right side. Mm-hmm. And, rising up out of the grass, it was, tall grass and weeds around there. So, what could be a left shoulder there, the spine, left arm, facing to the left, is my interpretation of it.
And the first thing I look at is that it's not like uniform hair. It's kind of matted and and frilly. So, So the Alan Plaster, he didn't want anything to, but he had a story behind it, and that's kind of cool. And the fact that he was interviewed and talked about it for a little bit, that was good as well, and then stepped away from it,
Right.
not really wanting to embrace the publicity from it. That's that's a pretty good indicator that that at least on his side, he wasn't hoaxing anything or trying to say, oh, this is. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it actually didn't come about till about a month after she wrote her book, so it's not actually in the book.
Gotcha.
He contacted her. Well, like you said, he was interviewed by newspaper and probably television. Back in those days, like reading her book, when she interviews somebody or has a picture of them, it lists their home address in there.
Yeah.
In her book, it lists her home address and phone number.
Yep.
In the front of the book. But back then, people got identified in news stories and such with their name and address. And Bob Gimlin can tell you what happened to him with the Patterson-Gimlin film, with people showing up in his driveway and causing all kinds of grief. So this guy, like I said, he owned a business in Fort Worth, and being associated with that photo did not probably did not help his business.
A lot of unwanted attention.
Yeah, people probably pestering him or laughing at him or.
Well, Craig, in the creature in this photo looks to be like big and bulky. Was the one that you had seen, was it bulky like that, or was it kind of like long and lanky?
I can't tell much from this picture.
Yeah.
But it certainly wasn't as bulky as Patty in the Patterson film.
Yeah.
I mean, it was tall, like I said, about 7 foot tall, and it was not, bulky like Patty by any means. It was muscular, but it wasn't, certainly as bulky as the Patterson-Gimlin film.
Right.
Feature.
Yeah, there's some parts in the country where most of the sightings report like a big, like Patty, like a football player, linebacker type body type. And then the other part, like especially like in Florida, they're kind of reported as being kind of thin looking or not really muscled up, but still tall.
Well, that's called Bergman's law, basically, with animal physiology, that the farther away from the equator, the bigger and bulkier they're going to be to retain heat. The closer they are to the equator, they're, not as necessarily as hairy, not as bulky, not as, much fat deposits in them. And that's science right there.
Yeah. So now question, and there's some discussion in the chat, which is very interesting. And first of all, in looking at this picture, and again, without knowing the whole backstory on it, but the fact is there is a backstory. He was interviewed by that helps to me. But in here, you kind of see that there's some vegetation here. Now, is that part of this vegetation or that? Because there's some talk. Do they grow cotton or anything like that in that particular? I don't think cotton is not really a Texas friendly plant or crop, I should say.
It's hard. Like I said, it's hard to make out much detail from this picture. It was, I believe, it was a Polaroid. The gentleman was riding around the lake. The lake back then was like a lover's lane with kids going out and drinking and parking and making out. It wasn't like it is now, a park and wildlife refuge with a lot of traffic. Like I said, the teenagers used to go out there and hang out and drink beer and stuff, but supposedly he was driving with friends around the lake and this thing popped up out of the vegetation there, and he saw it and just quickly took one picture, and that was it. I've never interviewed him or talked to him, and he doesn't want, to answer any questions. nowadays, for sure. I think he's still alive, but I'm not sure.
Gotcha. So okay, because there's some that some people say, well, it looks kind of cotton. I know Patrick Vaughn had said, and I know cotton grows across the South, but don't forget there are parts of Texas that have some very dry climate, and I know as you get out towards that Fort Worth area, that's where it starts to get drier out towards Fort Worth in that area.
Well, the eastern third of Texas has plentiful rainfall, and Dallas Fort Worth is in there too, where we get quite a bit of rainfall, but there's no cotton fields there. I don't know what they're if they're saying that that's just some cotton, or if it's somebody that fashioned something, but there's not any cotton naturally growing there around the lake.
Let me see if I can't get the larger picture.
Another thing too, I think a lot of people have a misconception about Texas. They start
they think
thinking
it's
about
tumbleweeds. They watched Dallas back in the 80s.
Exactly. Yeah.
In the eastern third, there's areas that get up to and above 50 inches of rainfall a year.
Right.
And going back to John Green's book, Sasquatch: The Apes Among Us, that he found the preponderance of sightings were in areas where the annual rainfall was 20 inches and higher. Well, this area of Texas is far surpasses that. And as the farther you go east, it's even more, in the piney woods of East Texas, the big thicket down in Southeast Texas, very, 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 a lot of cover, a lot of rainfall. There's creeks and rivers and lakes and ponds and stock tanks everywhere. And there is, a lot more,
so
a lot more
in looking at
and plenty of food sources.
Yeah. Now, in looking at the unaltered photo, it looks a lot less like cotton to me.
Right.
Because I think the other photo we were looking at, it was had a lot of contrast in it, so it kind of blurred a lot.
It blurs it up. Yeah.
Blurred
that
a lot
was
of the
much
features.
better. I mean, you can actually see like you can make out there's a hair structure rather than fuzzy.
And like I said, you can, make out, an area that looks like a spine there on the right side.
I agree. Yeah.
That like mine was hunched over, hunched over forward like that. The sighting I had was, it was lurched forwards a little bit. So I wasn't there, so I'm not going to say
if
that.
if we're looking at the left side, the left side,
almost at a 3/4.
Right. What would be the arm there would appear to be muscular. Of course, it could just be the way the hair is laying, but it certainly does have a contour to it that looks interesting.
Well, what I find interesting is that it does appear to have a lot of dirt on it.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't appear like we looked at the enhanced photo, and what you're missing is the fine detail.
Yeah.
So that was the first picture I grabbed. It was, and looking at this, and somebody asked, so what does Steve Kulls think? And then former everything says he is the D. And I don't know if he means detective or something else. Probably both.
Is your middle name Richard?
No. There are no Richards in my family. None. Zip. Zing. Thank God. Anyway, but looking at this, and obviously this is not a piece of cotton. I think we can kind of put that aside now from looking at this better. There does seem to be some, and this is just my thoughts in looking at this. Is it a costume, or is it something, or is it the actual creature? Well, in looking at this, I see long hair. I see dirt. It's not a clean white.
Right.
which one would expect a costume to be, especially back in the 60s.
Yep.
Usually there would be like a uniform color. The pattern of dirt on the particular unsub is sporadic. It's not a uniform type, because you can see patches here where there's very clean,
Mm.
and there's patches here that are clean and patches here that are clean.
Right.
But there's some like darker areas and lighter areas. So, and then, it's hard to tell. But what I do see is something that appears anyway. And again, this is all subjective. This is all off a gut feeling. Not knowing the story. Again, if I look at the story and look at how the picture was taken, the circumstances, that can give us some psychological elements to see if it's authentic. And I always speak about the Bigfoot peeper, how the story, you look at the pictures, everybody's like, oh, look at the pictures, they look great. Wait a minute, look at the story. It completely makes no sense at all. So if you take the picture out of the story and just take it for the story's worth, then you're going to get a clearer picture whether or not it's a hoax or not. That's why I always turn around and say, a picture is only worth the story behind it. So,
and you have to realize too, this picture is 52 years old.
yeah,
Right.
This is, it definitely to me is not a gorilla suit.
yeah. I mean,
But
then again, Patrick Ron keeps saying inconclusive. Agreed. Any picture is inconclusive.
yeah.
You're not unless you get a face and some authenticity. Even then, it's going to be contested that it's a costume or it's some kind of CGI or other.
With the other version of the picture that's had the contrast like zoomed way out and brightened everything up, I can look at that. I just see a fuzzy white blob. Okay, so that one wasn't so good at seeing anything. But this one here, I like this one. I think this is interesting because you can see some detail in the photo.
Right. And like you say, B said that, it could be a case of severe pareidolia, but it could be either way. Pareidolia can work both ways. You could see, I don't know, you could see a piece of cotton in that film. And if you think about it, and I would love to reverse it, but right now I'm doing a show. So it's kind of tough to run all kinds of programs while I'm doing a show, Mike. Sorry.
Come on, man. We got to get into what, like we can do on those TV shows where they say, okay, Sector 6 enhance, Yep. But no, I'm sorry. We have to deal with reality here. But I like this one a lot better than the other one. I think this one is very interesting. The other one is not so much as interesting as it just kind of looks blobby.
Well, the one thing I can say about this, off the cuff, it doesn't look like a suit, just because of the dirt patterns. And you can see matting. That's interesting. I mean, right there. You can see and this happens to my Shih Tzu a lot. But if you get long hair and sometimes it's all tangled, it almost like creates a dreadlock.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
interesting.
It's interesting. Could this be, and if you think about it, where's the neck? If this is actually one of these things standing up, which it does appear to be. Now, if you think about it, stand up. This is probably its waist. But where are the elbows? The elbows are at the waist.
Mm.
Exactly. Jay just said long arms. If you stand up, make me get up. If you look, where are my elbows? They're actually nowhere near my waist. They're a good 5 or 6 inches, above my waist.
Yeah.
So on looking at that, and of course, see, Patrick, I'm not talking about whether or not this is evidence or this is scientific evidence that proves the Sasquatch is real. It's not at all. But how are we leaning? How would you lean as a researcher? Because there are two levels of and Craig, agree or you disagree when I make the statement? There's kind of two levels of Bigfoot research. There's the stuff you put out publicly as evidence and saying this is a Bigfoot, versus discussion amongst your own peers. And that's what we're doing right now, is we're having a discussion amongst peers. This is what kind of we're doing on the show. When we discuss amongst peers, how are you leaning? Am I leaning? Is that a Bigfoot or isn't? It's not evidence.
Well, I do have one question, Steve.
Sure.
My question is, do you think this creature made the old man noises that you did when you stood up?
Thank you. I know it. It's kind of funny. Somebody actually thought I was either in my early 40s or late 30s last week, and I'm like, oh no.
Somebody thought that?
Somebody actually thought that. I'm like,
recently?
Oh, no. Yeah, just like the other day. I was like, no.
Wow.
No, I have 5 grandkids. I'm not young as everybody thinks I am.
I'm guilty of the old man noises, man. I can't help it.
Oh, me too.
I did that. I did a video. I was replacing the throttle body on my vehicle, and I'm leaning over. Of course, I got a big fat belly and everything. I'm leaning over, going, I'm sitting there thinking, oh God, this is gonna sound good.
Yeah. Well, another 10 years, Chris will start leaning over, and you're like, oh, ah.
It hadn't got to that point yet, but we're probably close.
So if that is indeed where the elbow is there, that looks like it's right at waist level. Well, my gut feeling is it looks pretty good, but is it definite? No, it's never definite unless.
But it sure is interesting.
I would lean towards to the positivity side of it, but seeing the original like this, it is quite compelling in certain areas that, either this is one of two things. This is either the real thing or it's a hoax.
Well,
and the coloration, Smelly Durray asked if that's a bear. Welcome, Smedley. And life is a flyaway. A couple of new names coming up. Yeah, and you're right. It looks more like fur than hair, and Bigfoot has hair, not fur. So there are a number of great comments. I don't know.
Yeah,
I know. Hard to tell. But anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about Caddo Lake. What has been going on at Caddo Lake, and I don't know what is going on with this.
Yeah, we'll have to go down there. Run down there maybe Saturday night, because you've got a flight bright and early Sunday morning. But
yes.
After the event, we can probably run down there and just go check out Caddo Lake and see. It's it's the only natural lake in the state of Texas. Every other lake in Texas is a man-made reservoir. That it was created by natural events, by a log jam. That it used to be the riverboats would come up, from New Orleans up to Jefferson. Jefferson at that time, back in the 1800s, was like it was a major port, and I believe it was the 4th largest city in Texas at the time. But then the Army Corps of Engineers dynamited the log jam, and it caused it to drain, and the riverboats could no longer come up the river to Jefferson because of that. But it's a cool place. It's got all the cypress trees and the Spanish moss, and at night the mist is coming up off of it. It's really cool and creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's what I liked about Texas, man. You get parts of it. I mean, dude, it's so big that it's got it like different ecosystems across the state.
Oh yeah,
just to let you know, my file manager is having a large issue right now like I'm clicking on photos and photos are disappearing. So I have no idea what is going on with this computer necessarily right now. I'm definitely having problems with my photos.
Poltergeist.
But even like when you get over into the parts of the state that are dry, that you might have a desert valley there, but when you get to the next mountain over and you drive up that mountain, it's like trees, water, grass, everything.
There are, some very dry areas, but, even out in West Texas, like you said, there's rivers through there.
Yeah.
And, where you have, a riparian area like that, you're going to have vegetation and animals and stuff like that, we've encountered reports, very few, but have encountered reports from West Texas where there are waterways through there where people have seen things out in that area. But like I said, the majority of the reports are from the eastern third of the state where most of the rainfall is.
Right.
Yeah, there's a beautiful picture of Caddo Lake. Like I said, you got the cypress trees and the Spanish moss and alligators and, all kinds of, I forget how many species of fish are in Caddo Lake. They've got a cool program where they're reintroducing the paddlefish there that are nearly extinct, but they're working with Texas Parks and Wildlife and restocking the lakes with the primitive paddlefish there that are really cool looking.
And then I'm sure there's a ton of alligator gar in there too.
Oh yeah, alligator gar and alligators. Heck, there's even alligators out there at Lake Worth in near Fort Worth. There was a picture just a couple weeks ago of one that like a 10-footer that was seen on the dock, just sunning itself on the dock there.
And it's amazing how does an alligator get to a man-made lake?
Through river system.
Yeah, one would suppose. It's just amazing how invasive. I mean, I was just watching this thing about invasive species. There's this parasitic type of fish that attaches in. I forget the exact name, but there's a lot of indigenous ones, but there is like a sea one, and it made its way through the St. Lawrence River all the way to Lake Michigan. And, now they have, and hello to Mike. Mike's in the house.
Mike.
And,
yes, I'll have to get you out there to Caddo at some.
I'd love to.
We've at least 10.
I'd love to. I'd love to get back to Falk for a quick visit too. That would be awesome. Lyle being the man, was like, take me to the Ford property. And,
that would be cool. Yeah.
Here's my clock.
That is. It is 10 o'clock.
I love
Well,
that.
actually, it's 9 o'clock in Texas. So, Caddo Lake's always. I met some. I talked to folks before who've had encounters at Caddo Lake, and that's always fascinated me. Out of all the sighting reports you gathered in Texas.
You're probably getting a close up on my ear right now. I'm trying to hear.
There he goes.
What'd you say, Steve?
Out of all the sighting reports in Texas, is there one that really stands out as like very interesting or
probably the one that stands out the most is the one that is typically called the hog hunter. That was a guy was in a tree stand and saw movement, and it was the way he described it, it was a Bigfoot that was leaping from tree to tree behind trees, and actually grabbed a hog and grabbed it by the legs and started slamming it up against a tree and killed it. And then threw it over its shoulder and left to carry the hog off, but looked back and looked the guy in the tree stand eye to eye and scared the crap out of him, and then just kind of let his head back and let out a roar, and then another one came in from behind the guy and answered it.
Ooh.
I spoke to that guy and investigated the report as well as another investigator, and he seemed credible. You're taking somebody's word, their testimony, and like you do, you gotta see if there's any interview them and ask them the same question 4 different ways or whatever to see if they slip up. But he was deemed credible, and his story never changed. That was a cool story. There was one that was actually across the border in I can't think of the name, the bayou there near Falk, but the guy that was the bow hunter, it was recreated on, I'm trying to remember what show, one of the documentaries it was recreated on, but he was up in his tree stand, and it was dark, and he saw something beneath him that he thought were cows that were, it was still dark. And suddenly his story of Bigfoot stood up in front of him. And the only thing that could be seen was the glint off of his broadhead on his arrow. And the Bigfoot reached up and touched that, and apparently cut itself and just screamed right practically in his face.
Gee.
He, I believe, had to change his underwear after this, but it ran off, and he got out of his tree stand pretty quick. But I'm trying to remember what that may have been on. I can't think of it. It was Doug Hycheck's series, Not Mysterious Encounters with Autumn.
Monster
Quest.
Monster Quest. Yep.
What?
Monster Quest?
Yeah, Monster Quest. I believe it was on Monster Quest. Is what that it was, the Swamp Stalker episode, I believe, that it was recreated on. But I've talked to, I've been doing this since 1999. I know I've talked to hundreds and hundreds of people.
Yep.
And they've, some of them don't sound credible. Some of them sound credible. And, there's only, in my mind, there's only a couple possibilities of what their story is. Either they, are lying about it, making it up. They may have been hoaxed by somebody else. They, they may have, been under the influence of alcohol or narcotics. They may have mistaken, a person or known wildlife, or the other possibility is that, they saw what they say they saw. And, if even one of those people is describing what they saw and accurately, then there's something out there. And even if I throw out the stories, the testimony that I've talked to hundreds of people about, I still have my own experience that I can't explain away as anything really other than one of these creatures. I mean, It was 7 foot tall. It was out in the middle of nowhere. It was actually, we could see it walking. It was walking parallel to the road, and we saw it walking, covered in hair. And, it wasn't a burned out tree stump. It wasn't, somebody in a costume. It wasn't a hunter in a ghillie suit. It wasn't a horse or a cow or anything like that. So the only possibility I'm left with is that it was one of the creatures. I mean,
right.
I can't come up with any other opinion on what it could have been.
Well, something that I find interesting, Craig, is in that area, there's a lot of reports of people seeing them with a hog, or they've grabbed a hog, they've killed a hog, something to do with using a hog as food supply.
Well,
and now
that's the same thing in Legend of Boggy Creek. The guy had 2 hogs carried off. I interviewed a guy that was a sheriff's deputy, and his dad was a Dallas police officer, and they tracked a creature that lifted a hog up out of a pen and carried it off and cast one of the a 5-toed footprint of it.
Yeah.
And, they were credible law officers. I've gotten stories from all walks of people, testimony, law enforcement, military, clergymen, people that to me should have no motivation at all to come forward and give their name and talk to somebody and give them their name and phone number and that it certainly can't. The motivation is not, I don't see what the motivation would be, because it can't. If it came out, it wouldn't help their careers or anything.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why people that don't have anything, anything to profit off of, or anything to come forward and say that I've seen one of these things.
Yeah. And, what I found interesting is it seemed like, they were talking about that these creatures were using hogs for a food source.
Right.
And I like to watch hunting videos on YouTube all the time. And I have seen, and anybody that goes and searches them up on YouTube will see the same thing. Over on Eastern Texas, they have a hog problem.
There's
a lot of overpopulation going on there.
It's overrun with hogs, and Louisiana as well too. I mean, there's just feral hogs everywhere and destroying crops, and a danger to people if you're out, walking around the woods and encounter a pack of feral hogs. That's not a good place to be. You better climb a tree pretty quick.
That's a fact, because hogs will eat anything, including you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just I'm wondering. I just lost my train wreck of thought. I had a question that was on the tip of my tongue and I lost it. Our Quick Witty saying he's been hearing a lot about FBI looking for Bigfoot in Texas recently. I don't know if that's on your radar, but
I haven't heard anything like that myself. But
so I know what my question is. There was that infamous Fouke, Arkansas case there. It was in the Legend of Boggy Creek about the farmer losing 2 of his prize hogs.
Yeah,
right.
So it makes perfect sense that if they're tackling deer in the Northeast and in Ohio and stuff like that, why would they go
what
after
kind
a
of
hog?
thing could get 2 hogs and carry them off?
Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
No drag marks, just like they beamed up. Oh, let's not start that rumor.
But if they're using hogs for a food source, I mean, their food source would be abundant.
There's plenty of them, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Now let's see. We have some questions. I got to scroll a little bit to get back to some of these questions that came in. Smedley Do Right asked, are there alligator snapping turtles in Cattle Lake also?
Yep, big enough to take a man's foot off.
Oof. Not.
Snapping turtles are no joke. They're serious.
Yeah. Mick says, does anyone have any theories as to why Texas Sasquatch are so ornery? From the accounts, they seem much more aggressive.
Well, it is hotter down here.
Yeah.
So the heat will make anybody ornery, that's for sure. I don't know any, there's nobody really knows anything about them. I mean, that's, that is something that's been said and may have, been spread. I don't have any personal experience with ornery Texas Bigfoot, but I've never had a sighting while doing research. I am pretty sure they've been in the area and heard strange vocalizations and stuff, but I've never had another sighting other than my one in Louisiana.
Yeah, and speaking of Louisiana, there was the Mississippi skunk ape video. I don't know if you've ever seen that one, Craig. The one where it was like stripping the bark off of the tree.
Tearing up a tree.
Yep. And
tearing the bark off a tree.
Yeah, and I completely killed that one.
Did you?
Yeah, because the actual witness comes back to a character in a TV show. And it was like Mountain Monsters meets Swamp People. and it was these group, supposedly this group of people, and they're the actual 4 people that were there, or 3 people that were supposedly these big investigators and running the swamps of Louisiana. They actually said the Mississippi skunk ape video was actually in Louisiana, number 1. Number 2 was the and we looked at that when we first went to video, Chris. It was like one of the first videos we looked at. Remember, we saw what we thought was a rip in the seam.
The dude with the ripped costume.
Ripped costume. And as it turned out, so I started looking at this witness, supposedly, and trying to see if there's any social media footprint or anything like that.
Yeah.
And it just happens that the person's name came back to the Internet Movie Database, but it wasn't an actual person. It was a character in this TV show. So I'm like, so then I look at his social media, and he had a YouTube page and he had a Facebook page, and it was only 1 post on each one of those, first and last, and it was just the video. That was it. So I think what it looked like to me was just like somebody trying to do the production company trying to do a viral campaign on that.
Right.
And the person was actually portrayed by an actor, which you want to know how fake it is. They actually blurred the actor's face out in the show, trying to say, well, this is, whatever his name was, and he's trying to conceal his identity.
Yeah.
And the fact is that, none of the social media sites, he had a YouTube page, he had a Facebook page, and the only thing on the Facebook page was a picture of a swamp and then the video, and that was it. Nothing else. No.
How about that one from Florida at Lettuce Lake?
The Lettuce Lake video. There's that's the one where is that the gorilla head sticking out of the window?
The head that's just out there in the middle of the water.
Yeah.
Oh,
that some of them just scream really easy ones, and that's one of them that just screams easy.
The poor Bigfoot was buried 6 feet down.
He's in quicksand. Save him.
You remember when we were kids, how big a thing we thought it was going to be with quicksand?
Yes. Yeah, quicksand everywhere.
Yeah.
Quicksand everywhere, Johnny Quest, Tarzan, wherever.
Yes.
They were always getting trapped in quicksand.
Yep.
And
I've never encountered it in my real life.
Well, it's kind of funny. I actually was talking to one of my hunter friends, and he actually encountered quicksand in New York. He put his 4-wheeler in it. So the 4-wheeler was stuck. They had to get a chain and get it pulled out, and he lost a boot. It's like, what the heck? But yeah, it's not very often that.
Hey, they got a commercial break coming up anytime soon?
We can do that. Well, you know what? Let's look at our favorite commercial. We're going to take a quick commercial break, about a minute long.
How long is it going to be, sir?
About a minute. We you know what? If you need to blip out, what I'll do is
okay. I'll be
right
here
when you get back, bud. Take your time.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep, we'll be here.
All right.
So what I'll do is I'll see that when he comes back. And it's been a lot. It's been some great discussion tonight, Chris. It's nice digging into like the Fort Worth monster and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And when Craig comes back, we'll probably be talking a little bit about Cryptomundo and stuff like that. We've covered so much, and we got 45 minutes left to show.
Well, it's interesting that Craig has actually had a sighting, because a lot of cryptozoologists, go their whole life without ever having that luxury of actually seeing one.
And it's kind of funny because, Craig and I come basically from the same, class almost of graduating class. He started in 99. I started in 98, 99.
Yeah.
Very, very mildly in 98 doing my own personal research. 99, I started getting out a little bit more.
Yeah.
Question from the Honey Island Swamp Monster. The interesting thing about the Honey Island Swamp Monster is I had spent a couple of weeks there on one of the Honey Island islands.
Yeah.
And we had gotten talking to this guy. His name was Denty Crawford. I remember his name very well. When we started talking to him. Finally, we got Denty to crack. He says that, the Honey Island swamp monster was created to draw. There was a lot of now Denty had his own sighting as well, but he said it was not any kind of 3-toed creature. He actually saw the foot of it. It was 5-toed. So he goes, they're out here. But the whole Honey Island swamp monster thing was kind of created to draw people off the northern part of the woods, because as you look, Honey Island is kind of south, and from what I recall, very south.
Right.
And then to the north of it, it's a lot of forested area. Well, in that forested area, there was a lot of stills and some cannabis growing operations out there too. Yeah. So what happened was there was some Bigfoot sightings in those areas, and everybody started going to that to check it out. So in order to draw that off, the Honey Island swamp monster was created, and that was the real reason why this all started going down.
Yeah. I've looked at was messing with their entertainment industry.
Yeah. Well, moonshining, that's a big business down there.
Yeah.
So you look at that, and so it makes kind of sense. You get when you start talking with the locals, you start getting the real stories sometimes.
Right.
And completely different when you go to Fouke, Arkansas. I went to Fouke back in, I think I was in Fouke in 2006.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh yeah. You're not going to find the creatures now. That right now there's a drought on. We don't tend not to see them when there's a drought on. Just matter of factly.
Yeah.
But it's like the Honey Island swamp monster. You get kind of that cross-eyed look, because what it looked like to me, those 3-toed tracks were basically either gator dewclaws, or there was a lot of blue herons there.
Yeah.
And I've seen the tracks on the sand barges in the Honey Islands one, and they looked a lot like the.
I had seen like a documentary where somebody found a shoe that was had been made into a stomper.
Right. Yep.
So that kind of took all the magic away from it there.
Yeah, usually when you see that. Craig is back. We'll pop him back on. There you are. Welcome back, Craig. So we were just Mike from Texas Bigfoot Rangers just asked a question, didn't I? Debunk the Honey Island.
Oh, Michael Waldy?
Yep. So
hang on just a second, guys.
Sure.
Tammy. Hey, mute me, would you?
Sure. There we go. So when he comes back, what I'll do is I'll just put him back down when he's ready to go. So I came. I was out there. I didn't
don't mess with our stills.
That's right. Moonshine and some serious business. We'll get him back into the stream. Okay, Craig, you're back on.
Yes, sir.
So
I had a rogue vacuum cleaner going off.
The Roomba?
No, he's lost. Our robot vacuum cleaner. He has a tendency to go wedge himself under furniture, and he's been missing for about 2 months.
Oh, jeez.
He's called. We call him Wreck-'em Ralph.
Oh man, I've seen videos
seen him for a while.
Riding around people's houses and got their cat or dog sitting on top of it.
Yeah, he may have jumped the threshold on a day and just.
He's that is funny stuff. Oh, the robot is AWOL. So I don't know if anybody has heard of this yet. Let me get this one up. This is kind of funny. I gotta show this because my fiance, there it goes again. See that? I didn't do nothing, and it just clicked.
That's your fiance?
No. My.
Okay.
Where the heck? Oh.
Well, I saw that picture go up, and I heard you talking about your fiance.
No. There we are. But anyway, there is. I saw this, and I was kind of laughing, and she's like, "Uh-oh, I see another purchase coming," and it's the Amazon Astro.
Oh, is that the one that follows you around?
I can follow you around. So, and it has facial expressions. The eyes have, emojis. That's all I need is something following me around. But the cool thing about it is, you can send it to the refrigerator, and if somebody places, it's got a couple of beer holders or bottle holders or can holders in the back, and you say deliver it to, it recognizes people, so it'll deliver you your beverage.
Oh,
So-
man.
So as soon as Sherry saw that, she's like, "Uh-oh."
Well,
Here
that's
come-
pretty interesting. Technology is great.
But it also acts as a security monitor, so you can tell it to patrol, and
it just runs
will-
around your house.
Yeah, and it's got a periscope camera on it, so it will go by your stove, and the periscope will kick up and it'll make sure all the pilots are off, or all the knobs are off, and if it hears something, it'll pop up, look around.
But Steve, I mean, with all the smart devices that everybody has in their home right now, isn't it bad enough? I mean, without them giving you something to follow you around to see what you're doing.
Oh God, no! Let's not start the conspiracy theories there, Bennett.
I could see this thing coming in the room looking at me. What are you doing, Chris? Nothing.
Creep on you in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Good one, Mike.
Yeah. You got
Hey, I'm broadcasting live. That's not something we want to see or hear.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Hey, I had seriously thought about one of those robot lawnmowers. You see those things? Now, those actually would be pretty cool.
It'll get itself wedged under the Hummer. But obviously, there's an issue with Craig's Roomba, so
Or it might fall in my cave over there.
Hey, where's the robot lawnmower? Oh, it's vacuum. It's mowing the neighbor's lawn now.
I don't know. It probably came out in Mammoth Cave over at the main entrance. That's interesting, though. I mean, I like technology. I really do. And we got a lot of stupid stuff that normal people don't actually really need. But it is kind of nice. What's the temperature outside? Crap like that. That's okay.
I can just see it. I'll set it to follow my dog, Watson, the little one. Watson will turn around and pee on it. Short circuit the thing. So yeah, I have enough. I have security cameras in the house and stuff like that, so I'm not really worried about having a robot to do any of that. But all right, back on topic.
Yeah. Okay.
So, Craig, tell us about the evolution of Cryptomundo. Because Cryptomundo has been kind of quiet lately, but
Well, yeah, it it went online September 27th, 2005, and it was
huge.
Yeah, it was. And, blogs were just really getting going. The ad revenue was there, that it made money back in the day. And then as, the money per impression went down and down and down, and the ad networks dropped off, and it just got to where it's kind of a vicious circle of not generating ad revenue, with therefore the motivation to keep it updated constantly isn't there. And and it's just really it's still up there as archives, but really it's just I just post the articles on Facebook now.
Well, if you think about it, blogs kind of sifted away a bit. Like if you look at the evolution of how we've done things, and you and I got into this research field at the same time. I started doing personal research in 98, started becoming more public and reaching out in 99 myself.
Mm-hmm.
And those were the days when we had the Yahoo mail groups.
Oh yeah, the mail list.
And before that, they had bulletin boards. But when we got in, it was the mailing list. You belonged to the Yahoo chat group, and people would send emails, and you would, see these conversations and emails. Then after that, we evolved into the forums. And forums were big. And then we had the blogs, and then there was Blog Talk Radio and stuff. So everybody was doing audio podcasts. Now, to me, the video has replaced even blogs. Like I still post to my blog, but it's my videos. They all go to the blog. It's much more easier to convey your feelings and emotions and show people stuff on a video, I think, now to write, because I remember, I'd write a page of stuff and it'd take me all day long to write it to make sure it was factually accurate and all that stuff, and the wording was proper and not to get misconstrued on anything. And yep. So first of all, a couple of things. Mike Waldy said, I credit Craig for the movement in Texas. So he's giving you a big thumbs up.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Michael.
Tax said that Watson would torture that thing. Mike knows Watson. So, and Mike says, back then we surfed the web and found information. Yeah.
True. Yeah.
And now it's become kind of not necessarily difficult to find information. The coolest thing I find is that, there's a lot more search engines with pictures. So, a lot of times we see this, and it must drive you insane too, Craig, is you see this picture that's been debunked 50,000 times.
And it comes back up.
And it comes back again like a bad penny.
Right.
Constantly. And thank God for Google image search, because you can get all that reference material back.
Yeah.
The one thing that really got me was the Mike Sells videos coming back.
Oh, yeah. I had dealings there even before the videos came out.
Right.
Got a series of footprint casts that actually took to Jimmy Chilcutt, who was the forensic fingerprint examiner for the Conroe Police Department. We took him there to his lab to be examined, just how he examined, crime evidence in his lab, professional equipment. And, it came out with, the toes on the footprints were made double tap fingerprints, and, the only dermal ridges, anything in there were human fingerprints and handprints. Right. And it was very disappointing, but, there was, after we were involved there, which we cut ties with that area back in, it had to have been 2003, maybe, that late. And then, that, what's her name? Joan Ocean, the dolphin lady.
Yes.
That, she came in there and with them, and, they were leaving pieces of paper and crayons out there, and the female Bigfoot was writing letters to them. There were Kiwani Lapsaritis was involved there, and then Tom Biscardi was involved there. There was a lot of people that came through there after we left because of the blatant hoaxing. The two individuals that contacted us from the first, they were huge practical jokers. I found online them posting stuff about how they like to prank people. And then I found a website that they were offering guided Sasquatch tours on the property there with the TBRC members there, and
that's sort of a red flag. Yeah.
Yeah. With no knowledge of it, but yet they were charging people $300 a weekend. And we cut ties with it. And we had people that were in the organization that actually left the organization because they felt the stuff there was legitimate. I mean, I don't know if you ever were on the Sells property, but I know you were.
Oh, absolutely.
At Lamar Point there. That, the tracks were obviously hoaxed. Biscardi had some.
And you know what told me that is that, and I'll give you my take on that is that when I went down there, I met Mike Sells. I didn't meet his wife at the time until it was dinner time. Then his wife showed up.
Right.
And of course he led us to an area at Pat Mays Lake, and all of a sudden, wow, look at all these tracks.
Yep.
And what got me is the tracks ended at the water. Okay, where did it go?
Yeah.
It just didn't. But the last two prints were like this. Now you have an 8-foot creature.
Yeah.
It's not standing with its feet together.
No, it'll fall over.
Right. Yeah. It would be. Tax asking me if I saw one in Texas. Well, I saw something through night vision in Texas that was very dark, conical shaped head, and it took off running. Now, whether that was
that was over the reeds, wasn't it, Steve?
Right,
That
correct, over the reeds. Now, whether or not that was Mike in his ghillie suit taking off, trying to bait us because he wasn't with us at the time, entirely possible.
A lot of the activity that happened there.
Yep.
With the Bigfoot researchers.
Yep.
It happened after he just happened to leave the area there to go to dinner or to go do something.
Right.
I know a lot of people that had rocks thrown and stuff, but it was after he just departed.
Right. And like we had tree knocking back and forth, but who's to say what was doing that?
Well, those videos, like I said, I wasn't involved when the videos were taken. I saw the videos. I saw Jack Lapsaritis, show them at the Bellingham conference in 2005, I believe it was, when he was touting it. I mean, it was obviously Mike Sells in the videos. And, the one where it walks like bent over at the waist, walks down and then comes back and then pushes the fence down and throws its leg over.
Right.
Just like a person would cross a fence. Now, I know MK Davis said that he compared, the size, how high that top wire was. And it was like,
no, he was wrong.
Like it was chest high to him.
He was wrong.
He
was wrong.
Yeah, I know. I was there on.
Yeah, me too.
Property. Yep. And a Bigfoot, if a Bigfoot's got to push down on the top wire and swing one leg over the other, that's a person in a suit. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. Actually, let me see if I can pull off of. I'll show you. I did a series of videos debunking that whole thing, including MK Davis's work on that. I just got to scroll down here a little bit.
And I'm not saying that MK Davis had any
involvement
hoaxing anything, right. But I think his interpretations were misguided, maybe wanting them to.
He may have been good. He may have been given the wrong measurements on the fence height too. It's very possible. Benefit of the doubt given.
I mean, there was a video, I can't even remember them now. It's been so long since I saw them, but I saw all those videos that, where him supposedly getting tackled, Mike Sells getting tackled by a Bigfoot, and one that was out there in the cornfield or whatever. The guys that left the TBRC and went with them were told. I mean, they made formations with car tires out there to draw in the aliens, I think. Right. And they had to chain them down because they said that the Bigfoots would get mad and would go tear up the tire formations. They were told that they would have to drink a Native American herbal tea to see the Bigfoots. I mean, all kinds of hocus pocus. That these people believed what they heard so bad that they went with it.
Now, here, if you look at the screen, this is some of the breakdown stuff that I had done. I actually superimposed the MK Davis with and this is how he said it was chest high.
Mm-hmm.
But when you scale the wires that he was standing at the fence with the actual wires in the video, it's not quite chest high.
Right.
So we move into that little aspect.
Do you have the video of the one, like I said, pushing down the fence? And
Yes, you'll.
and
It's a very lengthy video. So now this will actually show you.
yeah, I see it over to the left.
Yeah. See, it appears the top link is missing in the fence, and the other side goes over the second link, and so you'll see that go. See where the hand placement is? It's on the second link.
Right, pushes it down.
Right. Yep.
Throws
Pushes
its back foot
Right.
over.
So, and then I think at the very end, the very end. So you'll watch the actual, when the thing goes over, watch the fence post bend.
Yep.
So.
I'm sorry, but that is not a Bigfoot crossing.
No,
the fence.
not at all. Not at all. So we'll get rid of that. But I just wanted to show some of the. And you know the amazing thing is I visited. I don't know which researcher lived in the Fort Worth area, but I remember. I forgot his name, but there was this guy who supposedly had all this Bigfoot evidence out of in. So we go to this house in Fort Worth, Texas, and meet this guy. And he shows us the videos. And a couple of the videos we hadn't seen before. But I wasn't really overly impressed with any of them. And then he hands us in a plastic baggie, like a freezer bag. And he's like... He puts it down on the table like, you know, really quick. And we're like, what's that? It's from Bigfoot. And it's like crayon drawings.
Yep.
I mean, the complete, Chris is already ready for it.
That's my favorite part.
Yeah.
The Bigfoot drawing.
So,
the Bigfoot called Sandy Sells, I think, Water Lady.
Yes, yeah. And was leaving her messages, and she would leave stuff, and it would leave drawings behind, and the tie-in with the dolphin lady. It was all.
But nobody happened to ever see who was drawing them.
Of course. Well, we all know who was drawing them.
Well, yeah, but I mean, nobody witnessed a Bigfoot sitting at the picnic table drawing cartoons with a crayon.
Yep.
They were very nice people. Very nice people.
Very nice people. Yeah.
But
well, I always say this. When you have a con going on, if you're a con man, what does con stand for? It's confidence.
Yep.
So you don't win people over by being a dick.
No, and like you said, they wanted everybody to come out and stay for dinner, and they'd whip up a big spread for dinner. And, you know, I'm sure you've encountered it. I've encountered a lot of people that were attention seekers.
Yep.
Wanted to fit in, that would make up shit, would be super accommodating to that like the attention and like to wanted to fit in and wanted to be involved, and unfortunately we had people that had to keep making the stories bigger and better. They couldn't leave it just with what they claimed happened at first. Then they had baby Bigfoots across the road that their daughters were rolling a ball back and forth, that they had their Doberman pinscher picked up by the neck by a Bigfoot and pinned against the wall, and they knew how high it was because they could hear their claws, tapping against the wall. I mean, just ludicrous stories of, people, again, wanting to fit in, had to come up with bigger, better, more every time, and, like I said, I had my one sighting that I can't deny, but, since that, and all the time after that, 20 years, like I said, the group actually started in June of '99. So, 2 years, so, 22 years that I've been involved, talking to people. Like I said, I don't do any field research anymore. That wasn't my strength. And I resigned from my organization back in 2010, and then restarted it up. Basically, we go out and look around and and host the conference. I mean, but I don't go on expeditions or missions or any of that anymore, and I haven't done it for quite some years. But that wasn't my strength, and I leave that to the people that have those various skills to do that. It doesn't mean I don't like to go walk around in the woods and just look around or just enjoy nature, but I'm not doing stakeouts and trying to shoot a Sasquatch or any number of things like that anymore.
Yeah. Well, I think what you do is great, Craig, because you give people the opportunity to get together, to share ideas, discuss information, maybe even come up with their own theories back and forth between them. And so, everybody gets better educated for it.
Well, that's what I always said in the past, even when, I was doing active field research. I mean, when the group started, it was me and Luke Gross out in the woods by ourselves. I mean, that was it, because it was just us. And I wasn't an outdoorsman or a hunter or anything, but I wanted answers to what I had seen.
Right.
And so I don't know how to really say it, but it wasn't my comfort zone to be out on a stakeout overnight, because that's not what I did. I didn't hunt. Right. I didn't, any of that stuff or survivalist or anything, but I wanted answers, and my strength became building a strong team. And so that was my strength. But at least 50, I've said at least 50% of this is the camaraderie.
Right.
I've met some of my best
and
friends.
Craig, if I may add that you've also became a very good journalist when it came to writing about this topic.
Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm still working on my first book, but I'm a serial procrastinator is my one of my best traits.
Which, never put off to today what you can do tomorrow.
And you know what the best part of procrastinating is you don't have anything to do and always something to do tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have anything to do today, but something to do tomorrow.
Yeah.
But, like I said, I host the conference to bring my friends in for the weekend to hang out, and they put on a conference. People, will register and pay to come listen to the presentations, and that allows me to, fly Dr. Meldrum in, or fly Steve Kulls in, or fly Charlie Raymond in, or whatever, or, Lauren Coleman, or, whoever, to come hang out and put them up for the weekend and buy their dinners and hang out and shoot the breeze and entertain the people during the conference. But, the part I enjoy most is always been the after hour stuff, the stuff, going on, just hanging out with friends.
Yep. Good old wall ball in Ohio, Salt Fork.
Oh yeah. Balls of Fury.
Balls of Fury.
Oh, those are some hellacious times back there in Ohio for sure.
And I agree. I love the camaraderie. I love meeting, people. It's very humbling for I go to different, and one of our folks, Aaron, took his whole family. They were doing something up in Ticonderoga a couple of weeks ago. They came down to Whitehall just to stop by and say hi to me.
Yeah.
And it's very humbling to people.
I know what you mean. I mean, when in 2005 at that conference that Lapsaritis was at in Bellingham, I flew up and stayed with John Kirk and his wife in Vancouver we went to 2 conferences. There was the one in Bellingham, the first weekend we were there, and then the next weekend there was one in Seattle. So we, stayed in Vancouver, but came across the border for those. And we went to John Green's house, and this was right after the first of, and he puts you up in haunted B&Bs. Yeah, there's that too.
Wait, Craig, before you go on, is the place I'm going to haunted?
Yeah.
Cool, because you know what? I'll bring some of my ghost equipment.
Bring your ghost stuff with you. There's everything in Jefferson is pretty much haunted. Yes. The house that we stay in, a 7-bedroom house. So Lyle will be there. Charlie will be there. Leah Fisher will be there. Me and my wife will be there. Jeff is gonna have a one of our sponsors that has a great big B&B, but they give us their overflow house. It's a furnished 2-bedroom. So Jeff and Shelly and her husband are going to be staying in that house. But we will be, so it's haunted. The house, as a matter of fact, 2 years ago, Cliff and Bobo stayed in the overflow house, and Bobo set something down on the counter in the kitchen, and Cliff was in the bedroom. Bobo was in the kitchen, but Bobo turned around, and whatever it was on the counter just flew off the counter into the floor. One of the bed and breakfasts years ago that we stayed in, Rick Knoll was the first one to get there that was staying. It's actually one of those Sears and Roebuck houses that you could get way back when. You could order the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was one of those houses that had like a breezeway down the middle. It had a bedroom on each side, and then the attic upstairs was unfinished. Well, this is back in maybe 2007. We used to stay up till 3 and 4 in the morning, and then get up for the conference and stuff. I can't do that anymore. But that was a place we were sitting around with Henner Fehrenbach, Jeff Meldrum, Rick Knoll. But Rick Knoll was the first one to get to that house, and the Strains, Bob and Kathy Strain, were staying in the other side. Well, they weren't there yet because he had family in Dallas, so they stayed with family in Dallas the first night and then came to Jefferson. But Rick, we had stayed up real late. Rick sat down on his bed and, untied, because he always wears those, tall hiking boots. So he unlaced his boots and had them right there by the side of his bed. Well, as he's trying to go to sleep that night, he can hear, which is creepy because he's the only one in the house, he can hear children upstairs playing and laughing.
Now I'm going to have to bring my digital recorder too.
And
jeez.
And he was like, there's nobody else here. What's going on? Anyway, he finally fell asleep. When he woke up in the morning, his boots were laced up and tied beside his bed. And he had left them unlaced when he went to sleep.
That is awesome.
So yeah, it's also, everything. There's a ghost walk. We won't have any time. We won't have any time to go do that, but because Friday night is from 7 till whenever. Saturday is from 9 to 10:30. I think, with everything that's going on, and then Sunday morning you got an early flight. So I think your flight's like at
6.
Oh boy.
So that means it's an hour to the airport. So I got to be.
We need to be up and ready by 4 o'clock.
Yeah. Not a big deal. I can always catch a sleep on the flights.
Right, but it's going to be a great time. I encourage anybody in the area, if they're interested, come on out. I mean,
yeah,
we got great food. Great catered meals that we're going to have Friday night. Great Tex-Mex meal. Saturday night, Texas barbecue. Bigfoot, we're going to screen David Ford's Man versus Bigfoot Saturday night after Lyle gives his Falcon Monster update. He always on Saturday nights gives a, because he's the man in Falc these days, so he always gets all the reports and everything. So after the catered dinner Saturday night, the barbecue dinner, Lyle will give a presentation on Falcon Monster updates, and then we will screen the film. But it's going to be a fun weekend. Like I said, lots of Bigfoot talk, lots of presentations, lots of networking opportunities. It's really great for researchers to network and meet other researchers, to compare notes or whatever, or get together and go out on a research mission. But like I said, we'll take a trip down to Cattle Lake to check it out and have a good old time. I mean, I've got a really cool event coming up in December that I decided to. I've been wanting to do it for years, but put together a Bigfoot film festival that I'm doing in Marshall, which is only about 20 minutes from Jefferson. But they've got a great performance venue. It used to be the city hall there, but they've converted it into a vintage theater where they give performances, plays, show movies. But it's like a 550 seat theater with a balcony, and it's got the boxes on the side walls and everything. But we're going to screen Southern Fried Bigfoot. Sean Whitley, the director, will be there to talk about that.
Sean's been on our show a long time ago. Yeah.
It's a good documentary, but it's got a lot of me in it, so there is that. Lyle is going to be there and screen Creature from Black Lake. Lauren is going to be there and screen the Abominable Snowman of the Himalayas, the Hammer film. Pam Pierce Barcelo is going to be there to screen The Legend of Boggy Creek, and Eduardo Sanchez is going to be there to screen Exists.
Oh, excellent.
So we're going to we'll have a panel discussion about the films. We've got Dave Coleman, who wrote the Bigfoot filmography, will be there to give a special presentation for the VIP guests. We're going to have an awesome catered Italian lunch on December 11th. And Dave Coleman is going to give a presentation about Bigfoot in film. And then we've got the screening from 1 till I think 10 or 11 all day long, 5 films that we're screening with principals there, the directors or, director's daughter or Lyle and Lauren that knows so much about the films that they're going to be screening, and we'll be discussing all that stuff, and then have a question and answer with all of them up there about, question and answers about the films and stuff.
Craig, have you got a favorite of those old 60s and 70s Bigfoot films? Have you got a personal favorite you like?
Well, my favorite from that day, of course, is The Legend of Boggy Creek.
Yeah.
Especially now because Pam had it, digitized and remastered and restored and the soundtrack restored. I mean, if you haven't seen this new version, you haven't seen the film because, all of the copies of it are bootleg. Before hers were bootlegged. They were bootleg VHS, and those bootleg VHSs were then dubbed pan and scan onto DVDs. So even the DVDs, the previous of The Legend of Boggy Creek, were horrible. You couldn't make out any details. Yeah. You couldn't see the creature. In the new one, you can see the creature's face in it now. You can see detail that you never saw before in that film. And like I said, all the versions before were pan and scan, which if you know what that is, it's horrible. The viewfinder goes back and forth to wherever the focus of the film is. This one is in 35 millimeter Technicolor. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah.
And like I said, she's going to be there screening that and, talking about, because she was in the film. She, her dad, made the film and she restored it, and she's done an incredible job. And I implore everybody, if you love that film, get the new copy of it on Blu-ray. You have never seen it like that. Maybe when it was originally out in the theatrical release, probably not at the drive-ins, but I saw it at an indoor theater in 73, off the 35 millimeter. Of course, I was, 12, 13 years old, so I really don't remember that many nuances about it. I remember, the bathrooms. I remember all the pivotal scenes, but not the details like that. But now you can see it clearly. It's not just a dark blob in the night.
I'm gonna have to get the Blu-ray now.
Yeah,
you got to. You got to.
Yeah.
You need to come down in December, Steve.
Oh, I'd love to.
I've already got a verbal commitment next year for Bobcat to screen Willow Creek.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
So,
and Eduardo Sanchez, phenomenal director. He has covered, a lot of people don't know, he has covered all of it. He had an Alien movie too that was pretty damn good too. And I think as far as a Bigfoot film, I think Exist
is the best Bigfoot film ever made, in my opinion.
Love it.
You know what the thing is all these no-name people come out and try to make a scary Bigfoot movie, and it fails because they're not movie makers. But Eduardo Sanchez is a horror movie director.
Blair Witch
He
Project.
directed a horror movie that Bigfoot is the protagonist, and that's what makes it the best Bigfoot film ever.
Yeah. And he started with the Blair Witch Project.
And he was inspired by Legend of Boggy Creek.
Yep. I don't know. I forget the name of the alien one, but damn, it was good too. It just kept you on the edge of your seat. They found an alien body, and it's, it's been a while since I've watched it, but it was good too. So
he's a great guy. I mean, this is somebody that in his mid-20s, they had a movie that made $250 million. The Blair Witch Project.
Yep.
Yeah. And I'm sure he got a pretty good hunk of that.
Yeah.
At say 25 years old, and he's not look at me guy. He's just a regular guy. He's a family guy. He came at my event that was Cryptopalooza in Jefferson in 2012. He and Mark Ordesky, who was a producer of the Lord of the Rings films and executive producer of Exist, came and world premiered the trailer at my event in Jefferson in 2012, and just great guys. But it's going to be a good time. It's going to be in a really cool old theater. Well, it's not. It's made to look old. It was just renovated in 2019. Yeah. It was the City Hall there in Marshall until 1967. And I guess it had been sitting vacant, but they renovated it, made it to a really nice performance venue. So we're going to be having that there.
Awesome. Well, guess what time it is, kids?
Yeah, 2 hours already.
Is it already 2 hours?
Yeah, it always goes by that fast. Always goes by that fast.
Well, if anybody wants any information about the conference, it's on Facebook. Look up Texas Bigfoot 20th anniversary, Texas Bigfoot Conference. Tickets are still available. The reserved seating tickets are still available until Tuesday. And then if space allows, I'll open up some general admission tickets for people to get in. But the tickets that are available now cover, Friday. The Friday ticket covers the catered dinner Friday night, and and Jeff Meldrum will be giving a special presentation Friday night. The Saturday ticket covers the conference all day Saturday, the catered barbecue dinner, and then Lyle's update, and then the movie screening for that all day Saturday. So there's separate tickets. You can get both. You can get one. But information is on Facebook, 20th Anniversary Texas Bigfoot Conference.
And come on down. That's going to be a great event. I can't wait. I love these.
You'll be able to see the Squatch Detective. Are you bringing copies of your books and stuff?
Unfortunately, I only have 3 books left, and I couldn't get enough in time for the conference.
What books do you have left?
I have 3 of What Would Sasquatch Do? The new one sold out at a Whitehall, And the Whitehall the Whitehall one I did a couple of weeks ago, we had over 2,000 people there.
Holy crap!
Yeah, it's just it's madness. It's now I'm involved in the planning of that one next year, and it's going to be a 2-day event because it's just so many people.
Well, I hope you bring the 3 books you got.
Oh, amen. One of them
better be autographed to me.
I was just going to say, one of them's got your name on it. So
hopefully it's got your name on it too.
So really, I don't think I'm going to have a table there. I think I'm just going to be floating around talking to people and having some fun. And
there'll be plenty of people to go hang out with and talk to, and there'll be all kinds of stuff going on. So
I'll bring my freebie trinkets too. So
okay.
So we'll have some of those, a lot of those to pass out and make friends and reacquaint myself with old friends, and looking very much forward to it. So
are you going to try and fit Chris into your suitcase to smuggle him on board?
No, man, I would like to go, but if I was going to go, I would have to leave 5 days ago. I can't drive but about 20 miles a day.
Yeah. But
well, take an Uber.
Yeah. How long is it? 12 hours.
Oh, it'd be more than 12 hours driving from New York.
No, well, Chris is coming from Kentucky.
I could probably make it there in about 12 hours. Yeah. So
maybe you can hitch a ride with Charlie Raymond.
Yeah, I could do maybe 3 days. Could make about 4 hours a day. Be all right.
Well.
But Charlie's going to be there. I mean, Kentucky's represented. I'm happy.
Well, hop in your car tomorrow and start making your way.
Thank you, Craig.
Well, it was a blast, Steve. Can't wait to see you Thursday night. Lyle's picking you up at the airport, but I'll be in. I got to pick up Meldrum at the DFW at like 9:30. So
Dallas, he's flying into Dallas Fort Worth.
Yeah. He's flying into DFW, so I got to pick him up, and then it's from DFW. It's about almost 3 hours to. Well, it would be 3 hours to Shreveport.
Yeah.
So I asked Lyle, instead of having you sit there till for about 2 hours after you got off the plane and wait.
Yeah. So the spam bot showed up again, Chris.
I noticed that.
So anyway. Okay, folks, we'll catch you all here next week. Next week, we're going to have Mike Ann on back. We're going to be talking about some of his UV light discoveries and see who else we can pull off to show up on that show. We will be back here next week, 9 p.m. Eastern. And Chris, just so you know, and just so folks know, Sunday falls on a Halloween this year, or Halloween falls on a Sunday this year. So we are planning something really special for the Halloween show. And that means, right, Chris will be there as his base in Kentucky, and I will be up on the mountain again with another team out there doing our field stuff. So we're going to have a live Halloween Bigfoot investigation on Halloween this year. So we're going to have some fun. And last time we were there, pretty interesting stuff. So we'll be ready to bear this time. So, folks, Craig, hang out for a second after the exit. We'll chit-chat after the show ends. And, folks, want to thank everybody for being here. Chris, any final words before we kick off?
Again, I just want to thank Mr. Craig Woolheater for being here. Really enjoyed speaking with him tonight. And thank everybody for being in the chat and everybody for listening. First time listening on YouTube, please, hit a like, subscribe, share, leave a comment.
Hit that notification bell.
Yeah, ring the bell.
So, okay, folks, we'll catch you all next week. Have a healthy, safe, and happy week. God bless, and keep on squatching.
Hey, folks, you've been watching Squatch-D TV. Join us each week, Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, for the latest on the Bigfoot mystery. As always, we thank you for being our loyal viewers and encourage all to subscribe to our YouTube page at youtube.com/Steve Kulls. As always, have a great week. Stay safe. God bless. And keep on squatching.